Yeah, hi and good morning, everyone. So sorry for joining a little bit late. We ran into some technical glitches for which there was a delay of a couple of minutes. Guess we all have adopted ourselves to the new normals. Hi, my name is Om Puran and I'll be a host for today. And I guess in the recent COVID outbreak, the worldwide, all the businesses are facing a whole lot of economic hardships. And this has been a terrible time for consumer businesses, communities across the globe. And businesses, as they are grappling or they are adopting to the new normal, we just wanted to play our part in helping your businesses stay agile and productive in the coming months and years ahead. So, in this regard, we have set up this Discover Digital webinar series, and it's hosted by a team of industry experts from Solsys, a Yesh technology company, and we bring you this episode of the webinar series along with our alliance partner Ingram Micro. Our topic for today is fast track your digital journey with SAP on Microsoft Azure. I'll give a quick introduction of Yesh Technologies. Yash is a global IT consulting services provider that is committed to helping customers align technology innovation and business strategy. And Solsys Middle East is the division of Yash in the Middle East and Africa. And we have been serving all prestigious firms as a group throughout US, UK, Middle East, and rest of the world. And today, our partner in this webinar are Ingram Micro. As you must be knowing, Ingram Micro is a worldwide distributor of information technology products. Its innovative platform and service offerings power some of the world's most pioneering, successful companies. So let's have a quick look at the profiles of the speakers for today. We have Mr. Nagesh Bejawada, who is AVP and SAP service line leader at Yes Technology. And Nagesh is a seasoned technology leader, I would like to say, and with more than 2 decades of experience. And at Yes, he heads the SAP delivery, capability development, solution center, and operation at a global scale. He has successfully integrated and led diverse large SAP practice teams. And with him, we have Mr. Akib Abdul from Ingram Micro. So Akib is engaged as a technical consultant on Microsoft Azure and Microsoft 365 at Ingram Micro. He has over 7 years of work experience and has worked primarily on Microsoft Cloud and on-prem infra workloads. And he has 6+ years of experience, including migration, hybrid cloud, BCD, and security. Um, so that's more or less on our speaker. So before I hand over the mic to our speaker, just wanted to highlight a few points. Today's webinar will be available on demand after the live session. We'll be sharing you the details post the main session, and we are also taking your questions and input. We have a question answer session at the end of the main session. And if you have any questions for our speakers, or you have any queries that you want to be resolved, please feel free to send it through the ask a question tab in the player. You can locate it very easily, and we'll be taking them up at the end of the session. So without any further ado, I would like to kick things off by welcoming Mr. Nagesh. Nagesh, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Om, and good morning, everyone. So I'm very glad that getting this opportunity to interact with all of you, and share few insights around the SAP S/4HANA and Azure. So first thing today in this digital world is basically getting your enterprise in the digital way, and obviously ERP is one of the core of your information systems. So maybe the first step towards becoming an intelligent enterprise is to have your ERP set up on a right platform with the right product. So let's go about what is S4HANA all about and what's S4HANA on Azure. So today me and Aki will be taking you through some of those insights. So I'll quickly go again. Why you should move to S4HANA. So there are two things here. I hope the audience here. I think there are people who are already using SAP ECC, as a platform for the ERP needs. And then I also presume there are a lot of people who are using other ERPs and also out there, looking for purchasing or changing their ERP or looking for a new ERP. So this I'll try to address both the needs, where somebody is looking for a fresh SAP implementation, or also people who are contemplating to move from ECC to S4. Why you should actually adopt S4 or move to S4 from ECC is, first of all, like I said, it's a first step, or it's a core. It's a foundation is going to be strong, because if your ERP has a lot of intelligence and it is prepared for the future to seamlessly adopt or seamlessly integrate some of your innovations, so that's the platform. So SAP S4 HANA is your digital core or the foundation for your enterprise to become intelligent. So it comes with a whole lot of features. I'm going to quickly touch base. I mean, one is, of course, simplified business processes. All the processes have become much more simpler around each of the LOBs. Like finance, for example, uh, the way the data is stored and the way the data is designed, the entire data structures are designed. So there is, the need for redundant maintenance of, some of the data structures has been eliminated in S4. So that's the reason why some of the processes have become simple. The data structures have become simple. The design of the database has become simple. Your data size has come down by almost, uh, uh, 1/4 or even further down that. So your process are simple in the sense your month-end closure, because the reconciliation is avoided between, say, finance and CO, for example, or asset and general ledger modules. So a lot of reconciliation activities or some of the activities that you do in the month end are actually seamlessly happening through the month. Your month end actually has become much more simpler. So likewise, if you had to actually take some decisions, you may have to skim through a lot of transactions and some of the reports before you could take a decision. But imagine a process where everything is available, all the information is available on one screen, and you're able to take those decisions based on the insight. So processes are simplified. It's a platform for innovation. So like I said, today within the ERP itself, you have some of these innovations. And a small, if you would like to start with RPA, you have the IRPA, and there are some apps which are supporting machine learning. And also you can also use some of the predictive analytics algorithms that are inbuilt within the S4. Of course, there are other systems from the SAP stable, like SAP Analytics Cloud or the whole Leonardo platform, which will bring these innovations over and above S4. But within this platform itself, the S4 application itself, you have some of these tools available. And of course, there are a lot of KPIs and pre-built content. There's more than 10,000 views and KPIs available inbuilt within the embedded analytics of S4. So where you have real-time operational analytics as well as strategic analytics, you can use them readily, or you can also build models, which is very simpler, compared to a conventional analytics platform. Here, there's not much to build your own models, or adapt the models and build your own. And user experience standpoint, you have more than 400 plus intuitive apps in the Fiori. Fiori is the new framework built on UFI platform. So a lot of apps. You have your transactional apps where very intuitive in the sense it's like using your Facebook. So you have your red green notations. You have a nice icons which will tell you what to click next, or given an option, it will tell you what are the next possible steps available for you. So you click on a sale order, it will tell you what could be the next logical step. Would you like to clear a credit lock, or you have to remove a delivery block, or you could do a billing. What are the possibilities available? The system would be giving you those insights. And of course, the faster time to value, the ease of conversion or implementation with the SAP Activate methodology, and also with a partner like Yash and a platform like Azure, your time to value, is improved. We can do it at a very quick pace. So, okay, when you talk about the insights, which I spoke about quickly, so these are the kind of insights you have with the red, green, yellow notation, which will tell you what are those important insights that you need to look at. Gives you a top-down approach. For example, your AR outstanding at a big picture. If it is alarming, you go inside and see, okay, what else you can do a slice and dice. The app gives you all that facilities to see who are those top customers where your due is, so how do, and go down to the most invoice level, which is the most aged invoice. Okay, so that's the flexibility SAP gives you. It's no longer those, I think somebody who's already familiar with ECC, you no longer have to spend a lot of time on the GUI screens. So these are the kind of apps you have. You have transactional apps, you have analytical apps, you have smart business cockpits. So cockpits like sales order fulfillment is a smart business cockpit. It will tell you what is your outstanding amount that is yet to be fulfilled and where it is stuck in the entire OTC chain. Is it stuck at the order level, maybe because of a credit check or a delivery block, or is it stuck in the delivery with some issue where somebody is not able to post it? So the persons, the OTC managers or the performance, order to cash managers can really get a top level view and also drill down to a bottom level. So this is some of the apps or smart business cockpits that you would get. And coming to another example that I took, where instead of going through multiple transactions and using your some reports or some of your knowledge, then you actually perform a transaction. But whereas imagine everything being on one screen, where you can really take a decision to say whether I should do a stock transfer, or I am short on a stock, have all the available metrics out there, and so should I, what is best for me? Should I do place an order with another vendor because the existing order is getting delayed, or should I get it from another plant nearby? What is the best way for me? So those kind of insights, contextual insights, are provided to you. This is just one example that I've taken here. Yeah. So likewise, some of the embedded analytics I spoke about, more than 10,000 KPIs. So imagine today, what are the opportunities presented for you to convert? Today you might have an ERP and everything, but if you're looking at investing into an analytics, that could be one point. Or if you're looking for an hardware upgrade, that could be another point. Are you looking to move the cloud? So whatever it is, along with that, try to bundle an S4 journey, because you have these advantages. You do not have to invest on a separate OLAP system, because you have within the same platform, you have a live operational reporting, and a lot of other things are eliminated. So you do not have to maintain a separate system, separate instance. You do not have to monitor the interfaces, whether the data is moved or not. So it's a whole lot of savings, but also a lot of value that you get with a embedded analytics. Okay, good. So we understood why you have to move to a platform like S4. Of course, because of time, we couldn't definitely cover a lot more. Of course, if you go into detail, every single LOB, we can start discussing it forever. But just a heads up, on what is there. That was the objective of why to move. Now, how can you prepare? Today, if you have attended the webinar, maybe there is some interest in you because you might be contemplating to go to S4. Maybe in a year from now, or next few months, or even later. But what are those things that you can know? Even if you think now with SAP saying 2027, but some of the catches that after 2025, some of the compatibility packs will not work still. Your ECC may work, but if you already have some compatibility licenses, some of the things may work, may not work. But still, I think even if it's in the long term, there are some of the diagnostic tools. How can you prepare is something I want to quickly touch upon. So you're on a particular system, maybe your hardware is coming to an end of life, or you have an urgent need as a policy that you need to go cloud because there are other benefits, like moving to an Azure platform along with ERP. You want to invest a lot more into those other tools available, be it an analytical platform or an IoT platform, which comes along with Azure, which anyway Akib is going to talk on the Azure benefits. But so how do you assess? Where do you stand? Where is your system? Is it a straight road for me to S4 HANA? Are there any other things that I need to do, like a OS upgrade or a DB upgrade? Is my current version a right version for me to go without any issues? So all those things are available. If you go and check the maintenance planner and PAM, you will be able to clearly understand, are there any hiccups for me? Is there any add-on which is non-compatible, SAP add-on or a third-party add-on? Or is my OS the right version? You can look at the PAM. So these are some of the things you could do yourself, or you can reach out to us where we can help with this kind of small complementary stuff. Or BSR, business scenario recommendation. Typically, if you're in the IT and you're trying to prepare a value, why should I move to S4? Because if it's what is in the long term, how could I plan my transition? Maybe do a technical conversion first to S4, then slowly start adding the Fiori flavor. So what are the areas, business areas that will get improved both in terms of performance and also the value they're going to bring? So BSR is something which you could generate yourself with your ST03 trace, or we can help you generate it. You need to download the trace, and there's a URL which you can submit. So that's one other diagnostic tool. And readiness check is another thing, which is a far more detailed things, right? It will touch all the technical areas also, apart from recommending what are the Fiori apps, what is the custom code impact that you have, what are the processes that are impacted out of the process, what are those processes that are going to be simplified. There's something called a simplification list it generates, and it'll also tell you for planning your upgrade. Recently a section has been added. It'll also tell you some of the important activities that are required to be part of your conversion project plan. What are those notes that you need to look at, or what are those activities mandatorily you'll have to at least validate before embarking on the thing. Plus, apart, it will also tell you about the sizing that is required, the HANA sizing that is required for you. So readiness check is a far more comprehensive report. So that has to be, required, where that is another area where we as a right partner can help you in understanding. So that apart, there are transformation navigator, query apps libraries where you can see what are those apps available. There are some screenshots and an explanation about the app which you can pursue yourself and get to know that. So overall, a right partner like us can really guide you in preparing the road for your initiative. At least you can start asking those initial questions so that really you can present a value or a business case, value case or a business case to your business. So that's where we can really help you. Now, finally, today we are here to tell you that S4HANA is a good application, but it also requires for HANA to perform very well and for S4HANA to perform very well, it requires a right platform, which is Microsoft Azure. So which is what Ingram is going to bring to the table, because they are the partner for Azure. So Solstice, Yash, and SAP S4HANA and Azure together, it gives you the right platform experience to really, get those benefits out of the platform fully. So that's one area, why SAP S4HANA can be deployed on multiple platforms, even on on-prem hardware or multiple other things. But Azure, in our experience, also is the best platform. Not only from a technical angle, definitely it is superior, but also the various ways, it makes easier, be it in terms of the transition planning or the some of the subscription or the commercial aspects, some of the discounts or offers that are there, which Microsoft can provide towards the POC credits. I think I'll let Akib touch upon those things. But end of the day, the faster time to value you can realize with this kind of a platform. So why you should do now, even though I touched upon 2027 and everything, you could definitely try going now, because if you have any hardware revision or any EHP upgrade in the future you're planning, I think rather than going to an ECC upgrade, merely an EHP upgrade, I think you should contemplate moving to S4. Firstly, the product is very stable. Unlike now, most of the core modules are all stabilized. Now what SAP is working is mostly on innovating those things further. Yeah. And definitely you can also have an early leverage of value, because you have seen some of the innovation. Maybe your business, if it's rightfully put in front of your business, I think they will start getting those value leverage at the earliest stage. More so in the pandemic days today, everyone is looking at innovation, being innovative. How can I still service my customers, because the opportunities are limited, but how do I maximize these opportunities, because the opportunities are available, but within that, how can I work ahead of my competition and still maximize the opportunities that get presented? Okay, so that in that sense, I think you need very realistic, real-time operational insight, so that you can respond to the demand very quickly and respond to the opportunities fairly quickly. So and still maximize your business or your revenues and your bottom lines. So that definitely, I think S4 is something you should look at, rather than keeping it for a future or a much later. So these times need desperate times need disruptive thoughts, and S4 could be one disruptive engine or a tool for you to help reinvent your business. Definitely you can reinvent yourself with these tools. And so what are the potential challenges in delaying? Definitely, I think tomorrow, I think when more and more people go towards the it will come to a situation where suddenly the amount of time left is little. The partners are also eventually are a finite number of partners. So in that, there could be a challenge in finding the partner, because everyone could be engaged, or also you might have working at a time pressure. Instead, plan it earlier, so that availability of skills and availability of partners who can do it, because everyone gets busy at that time as the date approaches, right? And also you could do a proof of concept. Maybe you want to build a business case, do you can talk to us. We are going to mention how you can do, wherein you can get a sandbox environment, invest in a little bit of budget, convert it, show some of the throw in few apps, and show the proof of value to your business and convince them, in moving there. So that's the thing. And now I'm going to quickly touch base on the packages we have. One is, of course, if you are a customer that's on another ERP and looking for ERP shopping, right? You're looking for the right package for your ERP. You're a new customer to SAP and you're looking for the right thing. We have some industry solutions. So this is a fixed scope, fixed cost, and fixed timeline kind of an implementation with some of the best practices thrown in and some of the minor Yash add-ons, added in. For example, Pharma One, we have some of the things like CSV and 21 CFR, computer validation, GXP, some of those small additional things that we build on. And to the SAP best practices. So these are all pre-configured solutions available, so which will accelerate your implementation timeline. Also, maybe typically around 12 to 16 weeks as a maximum if you want to go with a very baseline scope. So speak to us if you would like to know if you're in any of these industries and looking to adopt SAP S4HANA. I think you can speak to us, and these are some of the customers in the center who have gone ahead with our SAP S4HANA industry solutions. So then, of course, coming to the other aspect which I spoke about, if you're already an existing ECC customer and looking for converting to S4HANA, we have a package, where this also comes with a fixed scope boundaries and a cost boundary and a timeline boundary that is there. If you meet all these criteria, I think you will be fit for a S4HANA package conversion. Otherwise, of course, we can still help you to see what will be the delta that you got to pay over and above the package for the delta scope that you have. So we, as part of this, we do a 60 standard Fiori apps which we'll give, and also there is a convenience of choosing the baseline package for S4HANA or add the options like I mentioned. For example, your current situation needs an OS upgrade prior to actually, or a DB upgrade prior to actually going for SAP S4HANA. We can give you that specific option. Or for example, today you're on using a deferred revenue, okay, as part of your ECC, the SD deferred revenue. Then before converting to S4HANA, you need to do a revenue accounting and reporting implementation or a conversion from SD RevRec to RAR. As per IFRS 15 and ASC 606 guidelines, you need to move to RAR. So we can help you saying that yes, you need to go to RAR and this would be the price for RAR, and then you have an S4HANA. So likewise, there are a few things which you're going to discuss further. What is the baseline and what are the options? It's a fixed price offering, and also your minimal impact on your internal resources. It's not you're not going to consume too much of time from your business or internal resources. We are going to upfront tell you how much of that intervention would be required. And definitely there's not a whole lot of training required, because here we're talking about converting you first. Whatever is impacted, that is what we're going to train. And also positive change management is something we would like to harp on, because the apps that we put in would be mostly around the analytics and smart business cockpits initially, which are very easy to use, and it will be definitely more attractive for people to use, rather than bringing about a complete change to the way they are doing things. So it's a faster time to value, I already explained. And we also have done a lot of SAP S4HANA conversions before, so we have the rich experience. Even in the region we have done, across the globe we have done S4 conversions. So this is the scope. So even we do generation of the BSR, business scenario and readiness check reports. So we do that as part of the package also. And even outside this package, I think you can definitely reach out to us on how we can help you. Okay, definitely. So we'll be doing conversion for one ECC landscape, so which will have possibly a dev, a quality, and a production, and maybe one sandbox. So this is the scope covered. We do the CVI integration, and we do all the core modules. Even if you have all these modules, we will still do it. Even if you have 2 modules or 3 modules or all these modules, the scope covers this. And even if you're on classic GL, we will do the migration will automatically do new GL, but we are not going to do document split. If you need document splitting, because that is where you actually get more benefits of segmental reporting and everything. So then I think it has to be taken up as a subsequent project after S4. So up to 1,000 custom objects we're going to remediate. So what if you have 2,000 objects? So our base scope covers 1,000. Maybe if you have more objects, we can discuss, and that's where the additional price, you have flexibility to add on those number of objects, and up to 10 company codes and 2 terabytes of data, 3 system landscape with a single production client, and of course additionally a sandbox. We anyway have lab to do sandbox. Even if you today do not have a sandbox, it is recommended to have a sandbox provision, complete the migration on a sandbox, and then proceed with dev and quality and production. Then up to 60 standard theory apps we throw in for you, and downtime optimization, we have Yashvahana accelerators, wherein we can optimize your downtime window, because some of the reports that SAP recommends to run during the downtime takes a lot of time, especially if the number of company codes increases, or if the number of fiscal years of data you have is more, then these are the things that need downtime optimization. We have accelerators for that. So we'll give you complete documentation and presentations. Okay. So this is on the scope part. And so package assumptions, of course, like we said, you are already, we assume that all business functions are compatible. If there is any non-compatible functions, then we need to assess that and see what, if it requires for any, it will increase the duration, or it requires anything, same with the add-ons. And all integrated systems, because for example, today if you have integrated a BW system, it should be compatible. It should already be on a NetWeaver 7.5. Otherwise, if you have to upgrade your BW, then that thing will be additional. This is not part of the S/4HANA scope. That can be done. Okay. And for example, SD deferred revenue is something I've already mentioned. Or if you're already on non-Unicode, definitely it's mandatory for you to go to Unicode before going to HANA. So that's something we are going to do. So that will be additional. So we assume that it's already Unicode, but if you are on a non-Unicode system, there should be Unicode conversion preceding the S/4HANA conversion. So this is the cost. Of course, you can reach out to us to understand the cost, but this is a service that we do, full system conversion. So we do the SAP sandbox dev, quality and production. Just to repeat, Solman will do a new implementation and EWS setup. If in case you have an existing Solman and it has to be upgraded, that is not part of the scope, or it has to be discussed separately, because if you have Charm implemented, or if you have some of the other modules implemented, then it has to be considered as a Solman migration and upgrade, which is a different thing. And typically it's a 4 months, 3 months for conversion, and 1 month for post-go-live support, or hypercare support as you would call. And the project will be executed 80% offshore and 20% on-site during sandbox and production go-live timeframes. Okay. And you should provision the licenses, of course, SAP HANA licenses. I'm going to talk about that in the end. And equivalent sandbox server to your production should be provisioned. Okay. So now this is something, if you're working on preparing a roadmap, or looking at what are the budgets available. So first thing is that if you're already, of course, if you're a fresh going freshly for SAP S/4HANA, obviously you would have a license. But for people trying to convert from ECC to S4, you have a license conversion fee that you need to pay to SAP for upgrading your licenses from the current database and application to S/4HANA and HANA database. Then hardware or the infrastructure costs you need to factor into your budget. So one could be a capex, or a capex plus opex, which is a co-location, or opex, somebody where you have a product producer like Azure. So infrastructure as a service model, or a platform as a service model. So you can actually go with Azure. And then of course the S/4HANA conversion service cost you have to pay to partner like Yash and Solstice. Then of course there could be some infrastructure upgrades, because if you're going with Fiori and everything, maybe you want to give some new laptops, desktops, or networking connectivity, because you need to connect to Azure. Yeah, in the entire thing, if your existing hardware and everything is on-prem, and we can actually do the service wherein your new target systems can be set up in Azure from an on-prem environment, we can actually move to Azure S/4HANA. Okay, directly, of course, subject to certain things like the OS upgrade being already done and all that on-prem. But we can discuss all those opportunities. You could reach out to us. There are multiple options. So at one step, we can even do Azure migration along with achieving some of the results like EHP upgrades, or even S/4HANA. So not only apart from S/4HANA, if you're just looking for a lift and shift also, you can reach out to us. Definitely, that's a service we offer. Your entire SAP, non-SAP workloads, we can actually move to Azure. The complete thing, setting up a landing zone, right from setting up a landing zone for you and VPN, and also connecting, establishing the infrastructure. So the the internet tunnel or the bandwidth. So these are all some of the other things you need to look at. Okay, and also the time that you spend, your business and IT is going to spend. For a conversion, there's slightly more time than normally your business would spend, because that's when we do the conversion, there are finance conversion and logistics conversion where there could be some queries that could be coming up. So I'll not take much more time. Okay. So then these are some of the value realizations where I think typically, like I touched upon in the front, your reduction in the financials in the month end closing time would be reduced. Okay. And of course, some of the things in AR outstanding, some of the customers have featured that with the insights available, so they're able to constantly monitor the outstanding AR and are able to pursue it with these customers. And yeah, I think there are a few other things what IT as a value would be actually getting, IT team, and these are some of the value for business. So some of our clientele on the S4HANA space, these are some of them are implementations and some of them are conversions. For example, Dynata is something where we have done recently in Dynata, Singapore, wherein the complete database, the application ECC, there were 2 applications of ECC. They were residing on-prem on Oracle and non-Unicode. So with a single step, they've been migrated to HANA database, not yet to S4, but Unicode conversion plus lift and shift plus SOH were all done in a single weekend with a single downtime. So those are some of the things we could do. This was on Azure as well. So Amico is a Middle East medical devices company. They are based across the MENA region and in 13 countries, 13 plus countries. So they had multiple systems also where we have migrated them to cloud. Apart from that, we also have completed the RAR migration because they were using deferred revenue. Before going to S4, we had to do a revenue accounting and reporting migration, and then subsequently we followed it up with S4 HANA, and they had a BW upgrade to BW on HANA. So that was also performed. So this is one of the case study, referenceable case study for us. They're based in Dubai Healthcare City and also are a big entity even in Saudi. So Yash, I think already since Om has given a brief before, I'm going to wind it up in want of time. So this is an insight. I leave it for you for a quick grasp. So we have a very strong SAP practice. We are about the 18th or the 19th largest SAP service provider in the world in sheer numbers of strength of consultants we have and the kind of architect level people we have. And just to sum up, we do pretty much everything in SAP. Okay, and this is our S4HANA Center of Excellence. So we have a strong projects experience that we have done. We do proof of concept or educational webinars or one-on-one education or a roadmap sessions with the customers. So these are some of the things that we do. So we can help you draw your roadmap. If you reach out to us, we can guide you in your preparation. So that's the key message I would like to give you with our strong Center of Excellence that we have. So here I think I come to end with my presentation. So thank you everyone. So any questions we can take up in the Q&A, and now I would like to hand over this to Akib from Ingram Micro to start his presentation. Thank you everyone. Over to you, Akib.
Thanks, Nagesh. So just let me know when you can see my screen, okay?
Yes, Akib, we can see your screen.
You all can see my screen, right? Okay. Let's see this. Okay, cool. So good morning, everyone. Thanks, Nagesh, for the overview on SAP side. So my name is Akib, and what I will try to do here is I'm going to plug in the Azure component into the SAP side now. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not going to take a long time, but let us walk through quickly and briefly on how this whole SAP landscape plugs in very well to Microsoft Azure, right? So these are some of the areas I'm going to go into. It's a very short slide, nothing much. I'm just going to give direct, concise information to you all. So what are the challenges right now with having SAP on-premise? So there are a lot of customers that I have worked with who have their SAP on-premise and they are coming into things like data center revamps, right? So when they come into data center revamps, the first thing that they look at is now, instead of actually going back into on-premise hardware, is to actually move the workloads onto cloud, so that they will never have to actually look at upgrading hardware anymore, right? The problems that some of the growing challenges that we have seen is the process. Okay, the entire process takes a lot of time, and it has a lot of manual intervention that is involved in this. Therefore, it slows down a lot of business process. Now, when we take the entire COVID outbreak that happened, and when the lockdown went into play beginning of this year, right, a lot of organizations were not cloud ready. So if you are not cloud ready, or if you are currently having an on-prem infrastructure with specially workloads like SAP, which are critical to the organization's business, this becomes a challenge when you have to work from home. So now everybody is just used to working from home, and there has been a significant spike in usage of cloud and migration of workloads onto cloud due to this, to enable and give employees the ability to actually work from anywhere, literally. So this is one of the areas that are there. And another challenge is the innovation side of things. Now, when you talk about innovation, it can be in multiple different verticals. Okay, it's not just you have to look at the hardware side of things, but you have to also look at other areas into your workloads. Yes, even in on-premise, you will have SAP, then on top of that you will have other components running, like maybe you will look at a security side, you will look at a business intelligence side, you might look at a monitoring side of your workloads, your IT infrastructure. Now, when it comes to platforms like Azure, this Azure Fabric, I will talk a little bit more about what Azure is, just to give you a sum up. But it's not actually easy to have this kind of innovation in a very traditional environment like on-premise environments, right? So it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of R&D, POCs, which takes quite a long time before you can even evaluate if this solution is going to work or not work. And then it comes into the insights itself, like I said, into the monitoring part, where data is actually in different areas and not really consolidated into one area. This causes a little bit of a slow process when you combine with non-SAP data, for your decision making capabilities. So these are some of the challenges that we have seen when it comes to hosting SAP on-premise rather, and then you'll get other areas also, which all combine into this, right? So why actually move SAP onto cloud? This is the question you might be asking yourself. What's so special about moving on to cloud? Now, yes, I'm speaking from an Azure perspective, but when you take cloud, it can be any cloud here. Okay, it can be AWS, it can be GCP, but specifically on why on Azure cloud, right? Now, the first thing is that SAP has certified VMs on Azure. I have worked with a lot of partners, including Yash. They already know this. There are certified VMs on Azure specifically for SAP workloads, including in the data center here in the UAE, which was launched last year. And now a couple of months back, Microsoft also made available some series of virtual machines specifically for SAP workloads, right? Now, the first thing is that how fast you can bring your workloads up and running in cloud. Okay, it takes several minutes for you to spin up a virtual machine on Azure, right? There is no longer where you're actually going to order hardware, you're going to order the required licenses, then you're going to probably order the required cals or whatever that is involved, the storage. All these things are no longer, I would say they are no longer relevant to businesses now, given the amount of power cloud technologies are able to offer, especially platforms or Fabric, like the Azure Fabric itself, right? You are able to easily provision, let's say, 192 GB or 256 GB SAP machine on Azure now, and it will provision within 30 minutes. So you actually spend no time in configuring these things. It's just an image that will already install the OS that you want, Windows, SUSE, CentOS, whatever operating system you want, and it's all ready to go. All that you will have to do is spend time on doing your actual required tasks, like migrating these workloads, right? And then you are kind of future proofing this, so that in the future, if you need to scale up or down at any given time, it's just a click of a button, right? There is no longer any investments you need to make upfront. You just scale down and pay for that change. That's it. When I say pay for that change, as you know, Azure platform is a pay-as-you-go model. So you just pay for what you use only. You don't pay for, you don't have, there is no upfront investment you need to make or anything as such. You just pay for this and you utilize. And this kind of gives a lot of flexibility in terms of ensuring you spend less time in actually deploying the necessary foundational infrastructure, and spend more time in actually doing what is required, what is really required. Okay. And then on top of this, you have your business continuity you can add on top of your workloads. If you want to have added security capabilities applied on these workloads, you can do it in a single click of a button. Okay, it's not at all complicated anymore. There is nothing actually that you need to spend a lot of time. Yes, you'll have to spend time planning your architecture, your design. These are normal things, right? But when it comes to the deployment itself, it's very straightforward. All workloads are available. You just click and provision. That's it. And the second part of this is the innovation side of things. Okay, so you might have things like let's say dev test, or you have like testing environments that you want to build inside your environment for quickly testing and then moving them into production. So you don't really need to spend a lot of time in terms of having or investing on dev test environments. Azure has something called dev test isolated environments, where you can actually have your testing and development environment and then move those into production whenever necessary. And the good part about this dev test environment is, like I said, since it is a pay-as-you-go thing, you don't really need to invest upfront. You do your development testing and then you can shut those workloads off, and you will not pay for anything. If you want, once the dev test is done, you can even remove that if you know you will not be actually going to be utilizing that for some time. Okay, so you have a lot of flexibility in terms of this. So this will significantly accelerate the capabilities of your environment in order for you to do to bring a lot of new things into the environment much faster than waiting on it for a long time until you have an entire streamlined process going through. Okay, and then a full overview of the environment. There are a lot of tools available where you can get a holistic view of what's exactly going on in your environment by utilizing a lot of services that are there, which already adds on to SAP. So I believe inside SAP also you can get these kind of insights. But from a platform perspective, you also have some capabilities here which will give you this kind of insight on your utilization, and you will most likely not. So I'm saying most likely because some services that you will want to utilize might be paid services which will be under pay as you go, but some services offered by Microsoft are free of charge, so you don't really need to pay for you to get these kind of insights. Okay, now getting this kind of insights is not an easy task, especially when it comes to an on-prem infrastructure. It's very difficult. You have a lot of investment you need to make, and therefore when it comes to platforms like Azure, again, that's where the benefit is. Like, you really don't need to worry about the foundation side of things. That's already set, ready, and provided to you by Microsoft, and they take care of it. You don't need to worry about that part. You just worry about having your workloads there and running your workloads and ensuring that you get the visibility you need into your environment. So that is one of the key areas when it comes to SAP on Azure. Now, another one of the advantages when it comes to moving on to public cloud from on-premises, this number, okay, has significantly grown. This is a old figure, but this number this year has significantly grown given the amount of usage that happened during this entire COVID outbreak, and how people actually started moving their workloads onto cloud, right? So this number has significantly spiked, but we can put these into two different segments in terms of optimizing your operations and accelerating your innovation. So like I said before, securing and managing your workloads is a big thing, and therefore you have the necessary tools already built inside Azure where you can get the insights you need. For example, Azure has something called Azure Defender. Okay, now regardless of what kind of workload you're running, it can be SAP, it can be non-SAP. If it's infrastructure as a service, SAP runs in infrastructure as a service, right? So what happens here is that once you enable Azure Defender on your subscription, it actually automatically starts going and understanding what type of resources you have, and it will tell you what type of measures you need to take. Let's say, for example, when I say measures, now you can look at this in two ways. One is you will take the measures that it is recommending to you based on a score it gives you to your on your security posture to your environment, right? And the second way is if you all are following security standards like ISO or CISA, I believe there are three or four security standards already available. It will tell you what measures you need to take based on those security standards. So some financial firms, they have their own security compliance policy, and all IT resources should ideally comply to this, right? So therefore these kind of security standards you can follow based on, it's already there, the template is already there, and it will just tell you do this, do this, do this. So this will make life a bit more easy. So any vulnerability, everything will be detected using Azure Defender. It's a very, very interesting tool because it gives you a security rating, and your goal is to get your score as high as possible to the highest rating you have been given. And this ensures that you maintain something called hygiene for your resources, okay, security hygiene for your resources. So it does this check on its own through technology using things like machine learning and all, in order to give you these insights and tell you exactly what you need to do, right? And then on top of this, you get things like Sentinel, which is a SIEM solution. That's a solution by itself, where you can have far more greater insights on your events and whatever triggers that are happening inside your Azure platform. And then, like I said, the provisioning speeds, which are very fast. It takes a couple of minutes for you to deploy the VM, unlike previously, you take days and weeks before the foundational infrastructure is ready for you to start putting your application, right? And then the pay-as-you-go model, where you pay for what you use. And one of the important things is the TCO. Now, ideally, you would do TCOs for about 3 to 5 years. Okay, in my 7-year experience, based on on-prem migrations, all these customers have their life cycle of servers for about, the minimum is 3 years. These are for high-end enterprises. But let's say a little bit of a budget-oriented environment will go for around like 5 years. Okay, either way, when it comes to these 5 years, they will refresh their hardware, right? So in this sense, you can significantly reduce your investments and move to platforms like Azure, because you will have the scalability also to, like I said, scale up and scale down in terms of your resources. So this gives you already kind of a future-proof environment for your S/4HANA infrastructure. or SAP infrastructure rather, and this will give you more control over the entire environment you have. It does not mean that just because it is running on cloud that you have no control over this. You have full control. Actually, Microsoft has less control over this, right? So you can at any time bring out your data, take out your data from there. So there is nothing like that where it is controlling anything per se, right? Okay, so this is something when it comes to the SAP roadmap. Okay, now what I want to highlight here mainly is that Microsoft's own SAP environment, right, is hosted on Azure, right? And this was a very large environment that they migrated from on-premise directly onto Azure. So Microsoft's own SAP infrastructure for some of their well-known applications are already on Azure, and it is running on Azure, right? So these are just some statistics for your reference. So you can just have a snapshot of this infrastructure, right? So I will go quickly on this, right? So benefits of, I have a few more slides only, and why you should actually consider and what are the benefits of using Azure for SAP, right? So the main thing is the 55 region plus availability of Microsoft data centers. They have over 55 regions. You can choose to use any region you want. The main regions now here for this region being UAE North and Central, which is one data center in UAE and one data center in Abu Dhabi. So you can choose which data center you want to host your workloads. And then when it comes to security and compliance, if you are a government organization and you are very focused on regulatory compliance, Microsoft has over 85 security regulations and compliance certifications that they have. And you can see all of these compliance and security related information in some place called Azure Trust Center. Okay, this will give you insights on everything related to Microsoft Azure security, what Microsoft does, what customer has to do, how your data is secured. Everything is available there, right? And yeah, the 99.9% SLA of your workloads also there. And these are some of the key areas that you can make use of when it comes to SAP on Azure by itself. So like I said, you have your SAP certified virtual machines that you can run on Azure. Actually, this instance scale is not 24 TB now, it's much higher than that. But all of these components can be built in together into your existing SAP infrastructure on Azure. Imagine trying to do this in an on-prem environment. It is going to be quite difficult. And on top of this, you can also add your BCDR side, which will ensure uptime of 100% to your SAP workloads, right? And it's all a click of a button, no complicated configurations required when it comes to SAP high availability and backup. And how SAP on Azure can reduce your TCO. So one of it is, like I said, the SAP certified VMs, you know, by itself, they save around 40% of the cost that you will be actually paying for traditional hardware. Now this cost comes in multiple ways in terms of even maintaining the hardware, refreshing the hardware. All these are coming into play to play in this segment. And then when it comes to your dev test environments that I told you about, dev test environment pricing is much different, and it is 40 to 75% lesser than traditional Azure workloads that you will be running. So you save a lot of cost over here when it comes to running dev test environments for SAP. And there is something called Azure Hybrid Benefit and Reserved Instance. This reserved instance is something new that Microsoft came up with, where you can buy a virtual machine upfront for 1 year or 3 year reservation. And what happens here is that it will significantly reduce the cost of the resource that you're running by giving you great cost savings, going all the way up to about 82% of that virtual machines cost. So this is so usually we recommend customers to go for reserved instance after about 2 to 3 months of running their workloads and stabilizing their workloads. But a lot of SAP customers opt for this and they take this so that they don't have any monthly charges on the workloads they are running or the virtual machines they are running, right? And if you own your any SQL or Windows Server license, there is an option called Azure Hybrid benefit, where you can bring your existing license and use on Azure and reduce the cost even further using that. Okay, so this is the journey on the methods you can actually migrate to cloud from on-premise. I think Nagesh covered some of these. He mentioned a few of these in terms of migration, but these are 4 options that are there. You can do a lift and shift to cloud, and then you can, migration of HANA or convert to S4 HANA directly on the cloud. Then you have lift and migrate to cloud. There is a step-by-step process on how this can be done, but that's where Yash and their expertise actually come in, are very familiar with this process. But I just wanted to put this here on how to bring it on to Azure. And then you have the lift and shift migrate to cloud, or migrating part of your HANA infrastructure and bringing them into cloud. So you can see the different silos over here. And then the last part, you can transform your S4 HANA and then consolidate or implement the entire infrastructure fresh directly on Azure. So which means you're not really doing a migration, fresh installation there. Since I'm short of time, and these are some of the industry compliance that I was talking about, you can go on to Azure Trust Center. You can see more on this there, and it will be much more detailed. There is a certification for UAE also, by the way, but I don't have that here, the government certification from UAE. Yeah. And yeah, there are a lot of other resources. You can get in touch or reach out to us if you have any questions. And yeah, I will be happy to share and answer any questions you guys might have. So over to you, Om.
Yeah, thank you so much, Akif. It was really interesting. So all the I'm sure the insights and the topics that you have covered are going to benefit our audience in this regard. Now, right now we have exceeded the allotted time, and but we have few questions which are in line. So I would like to take a couple of questions before we wrap up with the session. So my sincere request to everyone that if you want to hear to these questions, so just stick around for another 15 minutes. So we'll end the session in another 15 minutes time. I'll quickly share my screen. Just a second. Okay. Okay, so we have the first question for Akif. So there's a question that says, what is the scalability of moving workloads to Azure?
Scalability of moving. Do you mean how easy it is to bring workloads onto Azure? Is that can I put it that way?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so well, Azure has a lot of methods. You can actually not a lot of methods. They have two ways you can bring in your workloads. Okay, so lift and shift is the most I won't say simplest, but yeah, it's kind of easy because you have less things to do by bringing your workloads there. So they use 2 different tools. One is called Azure Migrate, and the other one is called Azure Site Recovery. Site Recovery was the oldest tool that was there. It has been there since I don't know, I've been working on Azure since 2014, and it has existed then and it still exists now. And Azure Migrate was a tool that actually was introduced in the year 2018. Yeah, in 2018. And the difference is basically that Azure Site Recovery is a tool that is used for also doing BCDR, right? So when I say BCDR, if you want to have a secondary DR on Azure, you use this Azure Site Recovery tool to actually protect your on-premise workloads. Whether it be on premise, it can be on a different cloud platform like AWS, and you will have your passive DR on Azure using Azure Site Recovery tool. So when it comes to moving workloads or migrating onto Azure, we use the same tool to do the migration also, because that tool has the capability to do it. So we need to install and configure Azure Site Recovery in your on-premise infrastructure, and we are able to protect your existing resources, whether it's running on Hyper-V or VMware. If it's physical servers, you can only go one way. You can't come back in case of anything. And what it will do is it will actually take this VMDK or the VHD file and replicate it on Azure, and you will spin up the virtual machine on Azure. So everything will retain as is, the name, the applications installed inside the VM, everything will be as is. So that's why we call it lift and shift. So once it is moved, the on-prem VM will be shut off, and you move it from there. Just quickly on the Azure Migrate, the only capability the Azure Migrate tool adds is, in the future, it will be Azure Migrate. I think they will remove this Azure Site Recovery tool, but the Azure Migrate tool can do something called a assessment. Okay, it has the capability to do assessment on premise. So yeah, it's quite easy. It's not a very complicated process, just that it requires some planning.
Okay. So I have another question. There's another question. This is it says that, do you see a lot of savings when it comes to the cloud model, or is it expensive? And how does the TCO spell out? So Nagis, would you want to answer this question?
Okay, definitely. See, it depends on how you see your budgets. You know, whether you have operational budget or you have a capital budget. It depends on a lot of things also. See, when you go on-prem, definitely you have to have plan your hardware very well in advance. You know, at least for the next 5 years, and you may not hit the peak until the next. You know, somewhere mid you might be hitting the peak. So you're investing the hardware upfront, and you also need a lot of operational expenditure also in terms of managing that and everything. You know, and also to add to that, if you need to build a DC, so it's a one-time upfront investment that you're doing. Whereas with cloud, what happens is that you go with an operational expenditure. Definitely, you can plan your workloads in such a way. You know, maybe you know that until 1 year you only need this. You can go for a 1 year reserved instance, or you see that you can start small and you can scale it up as and when you go. And some resources you can go on a pay-as-you-go model, and some resources you can actually go with an RI. So depending on how you plan, you can work with partners like us who can also help you in planning so that you can optimize your savings. You know, so that if you have a next 5 year TCO, if you put it, we can really help you plan and say that, okay, these are the instances you can go for 3-year RI, because this is pretty much, it's going to remain, you know, with very simple. But these are the workloads, you know, you can go pay as you go initially for a few months, then you fix the time. So that way, what will happen is you don't have to invest upfront. You don't have to invest upfront. Hello.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot of distance. Anyway, that's what it is. Yeah, cloud
Yeah.
gives you that flexibility to plan your costs actually.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Nagesh. So So there are a lot of other questions. I guess we have run out of time. So what we'll do is we'll answer them over the mail. And thank you so much, everyone. Let me take this opportunity to just wrap up today's session. And thank you, Nagesh and Akib, for walking us through the topic in detail. I'm sure our audience would certainly derive meaningful direction and guidance from this session. And thank you very much, everyone, for attending this. And if you have any queries or you would like to know on how to get started on SAP and Azure, so you can always contact us. And today's webinar is going to be available on demand, and we'll share it with you in a couple of days. Thanks again, and stay safe and maintain social distancing. And goodbye, and have a nice day. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Om.
you.
Thanks, Nagesh. Stay safe, everyone.
Thanks, Akib. Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Om.